Hello everyone. In today's class, we are going to discuss Module 2 of Research Aptitude, that is methods of research. It includes experimental method, descriptive method, historical method, qualitative and quantitative methods. First one is experimental method. Experimental research is a systematic and controlled approach to investigate that seeks to establish cause and effect relationship between variables. Experimental research is a systematic approach and controlled approach to study the cause and effect relationship between variables. Experimental research is conducted in a controlled environment. We say that some factors are kept constant, some others are varying. So it was takes in a controlled environment. Participants are randomly assigned to different experimental conditions to minimize bias. So it was conducted in a fixed environment, so chances of bias are less. They are conducting in a different experimental conditions. Experimental research generates quantitative data which allows for statistical analysis to determine the strength and significance of relationship between variables. As experimental research generates quantitative data, that was numbered data that allows statistical analysis that helps the relationship between different variables. Example for that, clinical trials testing the effectiveness of a new medication. The clinical trials testing the effectiveness of a new medication was its example. Second one is descriptive method. Descriptive research aims to describe and analyze the characteristic, behavior or phenomena of interest without manipulating variables or establishing cause and effect relationship. In a descriptive analysis, we are usually describing what has happened, characteristic and behavior without manipulating variables, and we are not focusing about cause and effect relationship. It was gradually analyzing the characteristics of behavior and what was the phenomena happened. That was descriptive research. It involves collecting data through observation, surveys or archival records to provide a detailed picture of the subject under study. It uses observation methods, surveys, or archival records for the study. Descriptive research uses both qualitative and quantitative data depending on the research question and methods used. In a descriptive method, we use both qualitative data as well as quantitative data. It depends on the question. What was the research question? Example for the descriptive method is survey measuring public opinion on a political issue. If we are taking that public opinion, we use survey for that method. That was the example of descriptive research. Third one is historical method. Historical research involves the systematic investigation of past events, development or phenomena to understand their cause, consequences and significance. Historical method, as its name suggests, it was history. That was already happened. That was past events. In historic method, we use scientific investigation of past events, developments or phenomena undertaken and its cause, its consequences and its significance. That was studied in historical method. It uses archival records, documents and artifacts and oral histories. It uses so much records, primary data and secondary data as records, documents, oral histories, artifacts, etc. Example for that was studying the cause of American Civil War. We are studying about American Civil War that was already happened and its cause, how it's impacted on the society. That was studying was an example of historical method. Fourth one is ethnographic method. Ethnographic research is a qualitative research method that involves the systematic study of people and culture in their natural setting. Ethnographic method involves a qualitative study of people and their culture in their natural setting. It aims to understand the social phenomena, behavior and cultural practices of a particular group or a community by immersing the research into their environment for an extended period. It is a social phenomena, studying the behavior, cultural practices of a particular group or community. We are entering into their environment and we are living into their environment. That was ethnographic study. It uses participant observation, in-depth interviews, detailed description methods, etc. We use observation method, taking detailed interview and description, reading about their culture, etc. For example, for that, studying the cultural practices of a remote indigenous tribe. We are going to study about the cultural practices of a tribe. We are entering into their land and we are collecting data through interviews, through observation method and studying their culture. That was this method. Next one is correlational research. Correlational research is a quantitative research method that examines the relationship between two or more variables without manipulating them. Correlational research method we study. It is a quantitative method. We uses the relationship between two or more variables without manipulating them. It mainly uses surveys or observational method to collect data. Mainly using survey method or observation method to collect data. Example for that was investigating the relationship between hours of study and academic performance. Example for that is investigating the relationship between how much hours they studied and their academic performance. Sixth one is ex post facto research. It is also known as casual comparative research. It is a quasi-experimental research design that examines the relationship between independent and a dependent variable after they have occurred naturally. There was no manipulation of variables. Here the study was a quasi-experimental study. It deals with the relationship between an independent variable and a dependent variables. What was the changes occur? They are kept in a natural environment. Means that no manipulation is occur. Example for that was examining the impact of early childhood experiences on later psychological well-being. Studying the impact of early childhood experiences in their psychological well-being. Seventh one is grounded theory research. It is a systematic and inductive approach to qualitative research that aims to develop theories or explanations grounded in a data. As its name suggests, it was a systematic and inductive approach to qualitative research, aims to develop theories or explanation on a grounded data. Based on that data, developing theories or explanations. It is a qualitative research. It involves constant comparison of data, concepts and categories, seeking to identify similarities, differences and relationship to define and develop theoretical explanation. Here we are comparing the data at different times, comparing the concept, seeking identifying the similarities, differences and relationship between them to develop a theory. Example for that was developing a theory of leadership in educational setting based on interviews with the school administrators. Here developing a theory based on leadership in educational setting based on interviews with social administrators. Here we are comparing that different, what are the similarities, differences and relationship in defining a theory. That was grounded theory research. Eighth one is phenomenology. It is a qualitative research method that seeks to explore and describe individual lived experience for a particular phenomenon. Here it was a qualitative research. It seeks to explore and describe individual live experience, for a particular phenomena. Phenomenological research engage in bracketing, setting aside their own bias, assumptions and interpretations to focus on a participant's living experience as they are described. Here we are studying that individual experience. Here we are setting the different assumptions for different interpretations, and we are collecting individual experience as the study. For example, for that, analyzing the essence of a parental caregiving for children with disabilities. Here in this study, that assumptions was different and the situation was different, not same. So in this phenomenology study, we are taking individual lived experience and based on that assumptions was setting. These are the different methods of study. Here we completed the second module of research aptitude. Next day we are moving to the third module. If you found this section helpful in any way, please don't forget to like, share and subscribe to the channel. Thank you.